Welcome back to Sportsbook Review Videos. Football has begun, but believe it or not, NBA training camp opens in just 2 weeks, and the first preseason games are less than a month away. We have to get geared up for the NBA season rather quickly here, even with football just beginning here. And I'm going to give you a step-by-step directions on how to bet the NBA preseason. Now, not exactly like the NFL preseason, but it does have some similarities here. And one of the biggest tips I can give you is just staying up on the news, whether it be by Twitter, NBA beat writers, whatever. But it's probably the most important piece of information for the preseason because usually the NBA coaches are pretty good, much like most of the NFL coaches, about letting you know how much their starters are going to play in a particular game if they do. Reading up on that and knowing if you're going to get some starters minutes in the mid to high 20s for a particular preseason game could give you an edge on betting against the spread here in the NBA preseason. Not a whole lot of NBA preseason games. Most teams only have 6 or 7, but rarely key veterans play in this one too, so it's also good to know about who is in, who is out, who should be seeing more minutes, and in which games the young guys will be playing more is easily a very good tip for the NBA preseason. Now, I think fading the first two and the last couple probably also a pretty good decision here. So even though you only have a 3 or 4 game window of betting the NBA preseason, but combine that with 30 teams, that's over 100 chances here to find value. Should be able to find value in at least 8, 10, 12 of those, I think, and maybe even more. But the first and last few games are really unpredictable. You don't know who's going to play, who's not going to play usually. Usually you don't see any guys getting above 30 minutes regardless, but still, those first couple of games especially are pretty wild and probably aren't the best ones to use, but you can watch those and get a better idea of what's to come, and that could give also you an edge as to how to make your plays here in the middle of the preseason once we get later into October. And now, final saying here is this one is minutes equal money, and that kind of ties into our entire discussion here, the NBA preseason. We've talked about it here because if you can figure out how many minutes a certain team is going to play their starters or a particular player, you can really cash in on that, whether it be prop bets. There's probably not a lot of that in the preseason, but definitely against the spread and totals as well. It's obviously the preseason, so there's not going to be a whole lot of defense being played. Over plays could end up being a very good play here into this one as well. Really, it's crucial knowledge for NBA betting, though, because if the starters are going to play, they will likely play in the fourth quarter of some of these games, which is unlike the NFL preseason, which that can also play a big factor into some of these games as well. But as always, check our NBA future odds page with all the information leading up, and we should be seeing preseason odds coming out relatively soon within the next week or two, so keep an eye on those as well. Always check our our futures page and our preseason odds as well as our feature sportsbook list as well. But until then, for Sportsbook Review, I'm Jordan Sharp.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts. Shop for lines at sbrodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.